My name is Amy Fisher, and I am going to be presenting on the integration of international students at Mid-Michigan Community College. So my presentation is more an evaluation of what we have in place right now, and then based on the research that I've done, the modifications that I am suggesting going forward. So throughout the presentation, you guys are going to see a variety of photos that are in there. And I think I've shared with all of you, I was able to participate in a trip abroad to Singapore and Indonesia. And so a lot of the information that I've included in here has been based not only on the curriculum that we've had, but on the things that I learned on my trip. So you're going to see some very interesting, bright, colorful photos with a lot of the people that I met when I was over there. And our group traveled there as part of one of Mid-Michigan Community College's strategic objectives, which is to expand our study abroad program. Oops. So based on all of the research that I've done, I have 4 modifications to the program that I am proposing. So expanding our cultural exchange programs, which would be bringing students from other countries to our school, and study abroad programs, which would be taking our students to other countries. Internationalizing the curriculum, having a better understanding of the challenges that international students face and developing ways to deal with those challenges, and identifying modifications to our current program, including changes to staffing. So a little bit about the demographics of the international student population overall. So this information is based on a report called the Open Doors, which is from the International Institute of International Education. Sorry about that. So we have over 1 million international students studying in the United States right now, and that's about a 7% increase from the 2014-2015 data. So what that provides is $35.8 billion in tuition revenue for all of the colleges that have these students. And that's just tuition revenue. So think about all of the other things that the students have. So there's housing, there's food, there's all kinds of different revenue that comes from the international students. Right now, Mid-Michigan Community College has 97 international students enrolled. 5 of those students are true exchange students, so they're spending the whole year here. They're from the Shiga Prefecture in Japan, and this is the first year that we have actually had exchange students on our campus. The other international students we have a group of Nigerian students that are here as part of our nursing program. And then a lot of our students are what you call dematriculated from other universities. So they are studying at Mid-Michigan Community College because their grades are not at the level that they need them to be at in order to maintain their student status at their university. So what they do is they come to Mid-Michigan Community College. We're an open college, so you don't have to meet any certain requirements to attend our college. They come to our college, get focus, get their grades back up, and then go back to their university. So one of the things that I am suggesting is expanding our cultural exchange and study abroad programs. So these are actually 3 of our students from the Shiga Prefecture in Japan. This is Aya, Ria, and Chika. And they actually came to my family Christmas party this year. I'm Polish descent, so a Polish Christmas party for them was very interesting. They're holding what's called opłatki. So you break a piece of the opłatki off. Like I would break a piece of theirs off, they would break a piece of mine off. You would wish them Merry Christmas and you would give them a hug. So, and I have relatives that are very, very friendly. So they had a really, really good time. And when at the end of the night when I'm taking them home, and they speak English, but their English is a little broken. So I was talking to them. I'm like, well, what was your favorite part? What did you enjoy the most? And they said, perfect English, I love American Polish food. I'm like, oh, okay. So but my family was very welcoming, asked them a lot of questions, and I think it was mutually beneficial. So one of those things was understanding the differences and similarities created by cultural issues. So, getting to meet these students from Japan, my family probably would not have been able to meet someone from Japan, and the same for them. I remember in my first MSA class when I met my friend Athar Kalawi, she's from Saudi Arabia, and having conversations with her and learning about the Saudi culture is one of the things that really energized me about studying international students. Creating awareness about global issues. So we have a lot of different things going on across the globe right now, and it's easy to be detached from that if you don't understand or have skin in the game, if you will. So when I was in one of my classes, I had a student in my class, his name was Makath Deng, and he was from South Sudan. And when we were in class was when they were having all the uprising in South Sudan. And he actually lost some of his family members in some of the issues that were going on there. So having understanding of what the students are going through as they're here, and then creating awareness about the things that are going on around the world. And then being willing to accept things you don't understand. A great example that I like to give is my husband. We have some people that live on our lake that are, I don't know what country they're from, but they're from somewhere in Asia. So my husband drives by them and waves to them every time, and they, nod their head, and he continues to wave. And we had a conversation a couple months ago, and he's like, I just don't understand why they are so rude to me. They won't wave. I wave to them every time. I'm like, well, what do they do? He's like, well, they just nod their head. I'm like, well, that's their wave. That is how they're acknowledging you. That's, they're saying hello. They're not American. They're not going to, wave their hand in the air. That is how they say hello. And, he's a grown adult, and he doesn't understand that. So just creating awareness about, things that you don't understand. So internationalizing the curriculum. So this is a picture of one of the universities that we visited in Indonesia called ITMI, and it's the International Business School there. So one of the things that we're discussing at our school right now is implementing a global endorsement. So what that global endorsement would do is it would be a point system, and you would actually have something on your transcript that would say that you have this global endorsement. So the global endorsement can be achieved by doing a variety of things. So globally intensive courses, so courses on world cultures, American foreign policy, and of course foreign languages. Having global experiences. So global experiences could be study abroad, or it could be something you're doing domestic. So being part of the International Student Club, or being part of the Saudi Student Club, any type of trade groups where you're trying to understand things that are going on internationally. Participating in global activities. So I think on CMU's campus next week they have a diversity and inclusion symposium. So that would be one of the things that would count towards your global endorsement. Doing international research. So a lot of the papers that I have done through my master's program have focused specifically on international students. So having that concentration counts as well. And doing a capstone project on something international, whether it be students, whether it be a specific country, something like that. And at the end, what you would do is you would have a certain amount of points, and when you achieve those points, then that would be a line on your transcript that you could use. So the big thing that I took away from this project was about the challenges that international students face. So these are our translators. This is Ilham and Ito, and they were actually exchange students in the United States. Ito was in Hawaii and Ilham was in Wisconsin. And they participated in the trip with us. They were our translators when they were there. So I learned a lot about academic studies in the United States. So their culture is a collectivist culture. So when they are being taught to in their country, the instructors teach to them. And they don't ask questions, they just sit and listen. Because in their culture, if you ask an instructor a question and they don't know the answer, that causes them to lose face. and it could create an embarrassing situation for them. If you have a question for your instructor, you would email your instructor and they would email you back. There's really no dialogue in the class between the students or with the instructor. So imagine experiencing college like that and then coming to the United States where everybody is talking and we are constantly asking questions and challenging our instructor. So it's a challenge for our faculty to understand that concept. So they're looking at international students and thinking, well, their grades are bad because they're not participating. You know, they don't ask any questions. They, you know, are not active in the class. They're not talking to their fellow students. Well, there's a reason for that. And our faculty needs to be able to understand that and meet those challenges. English language proficiency is always an issue. And it's an issue not necessarily because the international students don't have the comprehension. Sometimes it falls back on us with our slang and our terms. And like when Dr. Hayes was talking about bowling, we all know what bowling is, but we can't assume that everybody else knows what bowling is. So just thinking from that perspective that they don't have the same point of reference that you do. So at Mid-Michigan Community College, we have implemented what's called the LUCIS program. And LUCIS stands for Learning and Understanding Content to Empower Success. It used to be called the Late Start Academy, and we modified it in the fall of 2016. So what that allows us to do is to deliver some of our general education classes in a sheltered content format. So it's hands-on activities, cooperative learning, guarded vocabulary, so you don't use slang, you just use direct terms related to the topic, and a lot of visual interaction. So you would tell the students what you're going to tell them, let them practice it, and then follow up and have an explanation on it. And we found that that has helped not only our international students, but it's helped our at-risk domestic students as well. And social adjustment, the culture and identity, identifying that their cultures are different from ours, and we have to have a good understanding of that. So where we are right now at Mid-Michigan Community College, this is actually a picture of some of the students our group presented at an organization called At America, which is funded by Education USA. And what they do is they promote education in the USA across a variety of countries, not just in Indonesia, but it's a worldwide program. So they brought in 3 buses of students from Indonesia to hear us speak. There was over 200 students that heard us speak and ask questions about the American education and what it's like. And there were a lot of interesting questions, and the American education is very highly valued, at least in that part of the country, or part of the world. So what we are doing right now, we are continuing our exchange program with the Shiga Prefecture. So we have that agreement for 2 more years. So we'll have 5 more students that are coming to us in the fall. We are working on developing an exchange program in East Asia, Southeast Asia, which is one of the reasons that our group went there, to see what opportunities are available. And we're going to increase our opportunities for study abroad. So right now we're doing some research on taking some students to Indonesia or possibly Singapore, or we're talking about Vietnam or Thailand. So allowing them to have that experience over there. We also have an instructor that has taken her students to Guatemala. They just got back from a trip to, I believe they went to Dominican Republic, and in the past they've gone to Colombia. So those are some pretty interesting opportunities for students at a community college. We're also working on a study abroad program in Ireland right now. So quite a few things that are following the current objectives right now. So based on the research that I did, I have some suggestions to move our program forward. These pictures are actually of Jakarta, Jakarta traffic. If you guys ever want to see a really funny video, Google Jakarta traffic. It is the worst traffic in the entire world. 2/3 of the people ride around on scooters, and this is what parking lots look like. It's all scooters. When we were leaving to go back to the airport, it was a 16-mile drive, and it took us 2 hours and 15 minutes. yeah, it's very, very interesting. So moving forward, expanding our LUCIS program. So we have 15 LUCIS classes right now, and they're full every semester with both our international students and our at-risk students. So expanding those classes, not only the offerings of the classes, but the subjects that we are using or developing on those classes. Adding a one-on-one mentor. So we have mentors in place right now to work with our at-risk students to help them through the process and help them with the challenges. I'm proposing adding another mentor to our staff and having them work specifically with international students. Expanding our international department. So in the research, they talked about a couple of positions that could help enhance the program. So coordinator of education, so they would help with internationalizing some of the current classes to have a broader content. And an international education committee. So we would have an oversight committee that would review the information and provide advisement on that. Training on multicultural issues. So we talked a little bit about the disconnect sometimes between the faculty and the students and how sometimes there's a lack of understanding. So we have to do training every year through our personnel services department, and it's just an online training program. But implementing some training on multicultural issues in the mandatory training. So we can have at least a general education across the college of multiculturalism and be able to understand it a little bit better. We are also in the process of collaborating with other universities. We have a graduate from the MSA program, Amir Al-Saba, who is working on our campus. And he is in the process of working with CMU to do a trip to Saudi. So working with them, so our students, the students would come to Mid-Michigan Community College first, and then they would naturally transition over to Central Michigan University. So it's a win-win for both of the colleges. And we are also working on a trip to Indonesia in 2018 and possibly India in 2018. So in summary, in order for this program to work, we have to have collaboration at all levels of the college. So our president of our college is very proactive when it comes to international education. She was part of the team from Michigan State University that actually developed their campus in Dubai. So she understands, and she really is trying to share that understanding with the college community. We need to identify and acknowledge the challenges and differences. So thinking about the international students from where they are and what they're experiencing and trying to make their transition a little bit easier. And just embracing the future as a global community. So we want our students to have the advantage, the best advantage that they can. So providing them a broad education, which includes multiculturalism and a global perspective, is going to give them an advantage in this new global economy. So my final slide, I told you that traffic is crazy in Jakarta. Everybody, I'm not too sure, I shouldn't assume, Uber is the ride-sharing app. So you go on your phone and you say where you want to go and you hit the button and an Uber driver comes and gets you. In Jakarta, this is what comes and gets you. Their Uber is a scooter. Yes, there is an extra helmet. Yeah, and you know, it kind of varies. It kind of varies, but yeah, on the scooters, we've seen a family of 4 on the scooter. So the dad will be driving, there'll be a child standing in front, the mom will be in back, and then holding another child in between. Yeah, it's but that's the only way to get around. I mean, if you have to get somewhere, the scooter is the best way. But does anybody have any questions? Taylor?
Do you ever need anyone to travel with you? I can clear my schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really amazing experience, and we were able to bring a lot of not only information back, but a lot of peace of mind back. You know, traveling abroad it can be scary if you've never done it, but we had an amazing time in Indonesia, and it's a majority Muslim population, and with all the things that were going on in our country at that time, we almost didn't go. Our presidents were really, concerned about what was going on over there, because we're Americans going to, a majority Muslim population. And we were so impressed. I mean, they are a very, very peaceful people. And their motto is unity in diversity, or diversity in unity. I'm not too sure if I'm saying it backwards, but very welcoming, very, very welcoming. We felt totally safe, totally welcome the whole time that we were there. It's an amazing experience.
That's awesome. Okay, my other question is, so if there's students who are international and they're doing the nursing program, is there any sort of exam they have to take when they get back to their home country to assure that they understand the same standards that their country requires?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I would think that that the standards would at least be similar in Nigeria and the United States. But I don't know as far as, from the clinical side. But I can find out for you if, what the requirements are when they go back, if they have to do different type of testing. I would imagine it would be something similar to if, you have your nursing license in the state of Michigan and you go to Ohio, do you have to get your nursing license in the state of Ohio?
Yeah, I know for athletic training you do, and same thing with EMT. You have to transfer it across states. So that's why I wondered. And as far as medical practices, if they're similar in the United States as they are in the countries that you guys are partnering with, or if maybe they're learning something here that isn't the normal standard in the country that they will be working in.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the medical standards, but I can definitely get you in touch with some of our instructors if you want to have that conversation in more detail to find out how that transition goes.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, with the current administration and political climate, how are your students, as far as international students, reacting, and what's the overall, morale? I mean, as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah. When we were in Indonesia, when we had the meeting at America, there were a lot of parents there. And that was the first question that they asked. Is my student going to be safe in your country with everything that's going on? And absolutely, we feel that they will. The safest place that you can be is on a college campus where you have diversity, you have understanding, you have, educated people that have different perspectives. Not everybody is going to be welcoming, but I think people are afraid of things that they don't understand. So you see, someone from a different country who is dressed different, and you automatically characterize them as being like something else when you don't really know them at all. So it typically is not just something about different cultures. It's just about, people in general and just not understanding. But our campus is very welcoming for international students, and we have a number of international students here, and I feel that we are welcoming here to them at CMU as well. Any other questions?